Hi folks, I'm Father Joe Grimaldi. You can call me Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. But now, here's our host and friend, Ken Calvert.
Hi everybody, I'm Ken Calvert alongside my dear friend, Father Joe Grimaldi. The Father Joe Grimaldi podcast, proudly supported by our good friends at Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln. The Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales event is in its final days. That means right now is the best time to purchase or lease any one of the exciting Lincoln vehicles. Do you realize it's already time to start thinking about the all-new 2020 lineup that's coming in? Yeah, that means it's just a matter of weeks before our inventory lot will be overflowing, and we need to make our best deals to free up that space. That's right, the Lincoln MKC, the Nautilus, the Navigator, the Aviator, Continental, MKZ, they are all priced to move and move now. Stop by Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln, 12 Mile and Telegraph in Southfield. Mention you heard about it on the Father Joe podcast, and you'll get extra savings, additional savings, oh yeah. Shop online at starlincoln.com. That's starlincoln.com, and tell them Father Joe sent you. Okay, now we just did an episode, and it was called, basically Back to School with Father Joe. That was not the title, but we did a lot on schooling, and all of a sudden realized the most important question I wanted to ask you about was homeschooling. And I know it's popular everywhere across the United States, but I never applied it to Catholic education because I just assumed it wasn't part of our
Tradition?
Is that it? Well, of course, tradition, but I didn't put the two in the same basket.
Sure.
But I went online, and apologies here, there are a lot of people that homeschool their children based on the catechism and Catholic education and websites that are available for that. I want your thoughts on that.
Yeah, there are a lot of people amongst certain people. I think that the area we live in has a very large number of people who homeschool their children. Mm-hmm. And there is a center where the homeschoolers meet on a regular basis, the parents, if you want.
Catholic.
And Catholic.
You're talking
it's Catholic,
okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
And that's over at St. Cyril Methodius. Any day of the week that you go there, there's always something going on with the homeschoolers. They have a large facility to handle all of this, and so that whether it's training that takes place or updating that takes place, that's where they go. So it's a pretty active center for homeschooling.
Can I stop you for a second? That isn't homeschooling. If they're going back to St. Cyril and Methodius, they're not homeschooling.
It is, because it's not the school.
Uh-huh.
They're not going to the school. This is the homeschoolers. They have meetings.
Okay.
And they meet at St. Cyril and Methodius because it is a pretty large facility. And they're able to handle that. And I think it covers all of the general area, whether it be Oakland County and Macomb. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of people that go there for support of one another, for activities, for the homeschoolers themselves, for the kids. But basically, they try to instill some type of interaction among the kids because they're missing it in the ordinary school which they would be attending if it wasn't for homeschooling. So, for example, sports and other activities, they do offer those things for people that would like to participate, but it's not an individual school that's doing it. It's the center, if that makes any sense.
Well, it doesn't because of the fact that I'm just thinking that the entire concept of sending someone off to grade school or high school, a lot of people want to avoid the interaction because of a topic that we'll get to probably somewhere in the body of this, bullying or other social experimenting that kids are going through at that particular time. They'd rather keep their kids at home concentrated on their studies. But I thought that prohibited them from possibly playing sports. I didn't know that you could be homeschooled and still play sports.
Well, I think what you're mentioning seems to be the strictest interpretation, because
Okay.
what happens is this. They feel comfortable with each other. All of the kids that are participating are homeschooled. It's not like there are other people participating. So that if they are involved in some sport team, it's people that are homeschooled in one part of the city or another. They do realize that it is important for kids to have interaction. Now, one thing that you mentioned to me earlier, I have not experienced, I'm afraid, and that's high school. High school, usually after elementary school, people in big numbers like to do homeschooling for elementary. Mm-hmm. But once they get to high school, then they go to the various high schools that will accept them. And so I've not seen too many high school homeschools. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense, but I'm wondering, do they do that in concert with, like, Brother Rice, Catholic Central, U of D, Notre Dame, De La Salle? Do you, as a member of the faculty, albeit one day a week at Brother Rice, do they offer at-home schools at all?
No.
No.
What they would do is they offer them the test if they want to come to Brother Rice.
Okay.
Or if they want to go to Catholic Central.
All right, so if they
But no, homeschooling is homeschooling. It has nothing to do with the high schools. So this is why I was surprised. I'm sure it exists, but I haven't seen too many kids that do homeschooling beyond 8th grade.
My point is simply this, then, that these poor, I don't see what I did there.
Yes, I did.
I said these poor kids
right, prejudice.
are. Well, I'm going to leave that in because of the fact that I think it's important for kids to interact. I get bullying. I get paranoia now with what could possibly happen in schools. I knew we'd get into an area that was going to be a little tricky to try and
I just make faces. That's all.
I know you do, but people don't get to see us on video.
Right.
We're talking about homeschooling. You're talking about pre-K or whatever they call it now,
sure,
all the way through 8th grade, and then setting the nest free to go off to a normal high school.
Correct.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people go from beginning to end. And I assume they can even do it with college. But I think most kids at that point would say, I got to be liberated. I want to go to a college. I want to be with people. I want to see football. I want to see fraternities. I want to do a lot. I want to walk and ride my bicycle and do what everybody else does at some point in my life. Am I wrong in assuming that homeschooling is a little too overwhelming in terms of developing a child?
Personally, I think it may have its merits for some people, but it does prevent people from developing normally, whatever that is. There's something missing if they don't interact. Personally, I have never met a homeschooled high school kid, which is kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. I've met many, hundreds and hundreds of people between kindergarten to 8th grade that are homeschooled. As they say, there's a big number that hang out at St. Cyril and Methodius for us in Michigan. Big numbers, kind of interesting. Every day, because they don't have a time. So if they have a free time from their parents, let's say between 12 and 1 or 12 and 2, they may go there for different activities.
I don't understand. Boy, I'll tell you what, time flies, but that particular element of education is really hard for me, Ken Calvert, to understand. I have great memories of my grade school years. Not all great at all. Same thing with high school.
Sure.
Not all great, but the good ones versus the bad ones way exceed the bad ones.
Sure.
The learning process, being compared to somebody side by each, as opposed to comparing myself with somebody online, was probably the most important thing I took away from being with other kids. I was learning social skills.
Right.
I don't think homeschooling, and this is me So the haters come after me big time. And by the way, I'll give you the Father Joe email in a moment.
That's okay. Yeah.
Anyway, I have a difficult time understanding homeschooling. From my point of view, going back to a kid that was born in 1951.
Well, it offers an alternative to people that feel safe by having homeschooling. So it's not the whole population that's doing it. Even though it's a lot of people, it's really a small percentage of the population of kids in school that do homeschooling. Actually, many parents find themselves too busy to continue to do it after a while. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they have lives to lead and so on. But they have to at least try to get these students to achieve a certain amount. And so that means they have to give up a lot of their own time. They also have to do a lot of preparation on their own.
Yep.
You know.
And no, there are standards.
Yeah,
you don't have to go online and get the educational quality standards. There's a playbook you have to follow.
Sure.
And it makes sense, and I understand it to a point, but there's a point where I just think social interaction is so important, and I'm wondering how many kids are being denied that social interaction that is really necessary in my world, only my world, to succeed.
I agree with you, and I would find the same thing, but by the same token, maybe this is what St. Cyril and Methodius offers. The building with lots of room for lots of facilities and also options for sports if they want to play basketball, if they want to. It's all available right there. They don't have a school. It's not a school. It's just an empty space that is used for homeschoolers.
I see that, but that is a school because of the fact that they're going off to a location, sitting down with people, and learning, but being around other people.
No, they don't learn there. They're strictly homeschooled.
That's just it. They do go to part 2, which is the activities.
Yeah, they do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure all homeschoolers do that.
No, there might be some that don't.
Oh,
but
I think a lot of them just sort of get up in the morning. They have a routine. They obviously don't have snow days. I don't know how they work their vacations out or how they do the summer education or any of that. I don't know how it works. So this is a novice, me, Ken Calvert, talking with you, an educator, getting your thoughts on homeschooling. In a traditional program, families normally keep a structure mirrored in a school setting, meaning that they buy curriculum, textbooks, tests, teacher guides, and schedules. Sounds like a school to me, so why wouldn't you just send your kid to school? And maybe one of the reasons, costs.
It could be. They also find it to be safe at home.
Boy, you can't live your entire life.
I agree with you.
As a paranoid individual, you can't. You wouldn't leave your house. You don't want that.
Well, I think that's why the idea that was established over at Cyril and Methodius was a group, because they needed something other than just to be at home. And at 3 o'clock, we're going to do math. And at 1 o'clock, we've done religion. Also, it offers a religious atmosphere for those that are Catholic. And most of the ones that go there are Catholic, or they follow some religion. So because it lends itself for that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but then the religion is taken care of by the parents as well.
Right.
They do the teaching.
How do you feel about that?
Well, as long as they're trained and they do what they're supposed to do, that's fine. But the education part of it, I think, is fine. Usually these are people who are competent. They're able to do the teaching. They've done the research, the study, and so on. The thing that I might disagree with is the fact that the interaction with other kids.
Right.
And I think this is where people learn. Even bullying, which I'm against, but even that...
And we all should be.
Yeah, and I would say that even that makes you stronger if you want as an individual. Failure makes us strong. We're going to fall every so often. We're going to mess up every so often. We're going to say the wrong thing every so often. But that's where we learn how to pick ourselves up and how to move forward. And I think we do that only in a mixed situation with other people our own age. And so it's not something that can be taught as such from above. It's something that happens when you interact with people your own age.
What do you think about the choice of the child? The child doesn't necessarily want to be homeschooled, would rather be in a regular school.
I have not come across that because they have been convinced by their parents that this is the best route. And so that they seem to be comfortable with it. The people that I've met seem to be comfortable with it. I have met people at Brother Rice who are homeschooled, and, they come to a regular school and they're interacting with other people. They seem to fit in pretty well.
The other thing I would like to find out is, how does Ken Calvert, living in this area, get homeschooled, and then I want to go lace him up and play baseball at Brother Rice? Because I can't, right?
No,
because I'm not a student at Brother Rice.
Correct.
So if I'm homeschooled, I'm totally denied the opportunity to play sports, organized sports, at Brother Rice or younger age, St. Regis, whatever the case may be. I'm denied that opportunity.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
But that goes along with homeschooling.
So that's my pushback question.
The only kids that I know that seek out sports in homeschooling, I shouldn't say the only ones, but there are a few. Most of the kids that do that are people that play instruments, are involved in voice.
So you're calling me a jock?
No.
Because
because the kind of sports that they do play, and they do, would be just getting together.
And by the way, let's end by saying happy birthday, Father Joe Grimaldi.
I would say happy birthday, Ken Calvert.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're 32 now.
Yeah. Where's my violin, Jack Benny? That's how I play it.
Oh, it's only a number.
Let's play. That's right.
That's right.
Bob Seger said it so beautifully. I feel like a number. Hey, we'll see you next time on the Father Joe Grimaldi podcast. I'm Ken Calvert. Thank you for listening.
See you soon. This is Father Joe Grimaldi, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe podcast.
If you'd like, you can email us. It's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. That's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Simply search Father Joe Grimaldi. And thanks for listening, everyone.